Be the Good with Kate shows each of us how it is possible to find and follow our passions at any age. But not only that, we can do this while making the world a better place along the way. I'm Kate Chericello, and I'm on a mission to shine a light on the positive news all around us. I hope Be the Good with Kate inspires you to live your purpose and go out and be the good in the world. Guests have included a Broadway music director, ex-convict, hospital clown, nonprofit leaders, people who've lost those closest to them, people who have found their calling in their 60s, and my kindergarten teacher. Join me each week as I have the honor of sharing these stories with you. You can find Be the Good with Kate on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Subscribe there or go to katechericello.com/bethegood to be updated when new episodes are released.
Excellent. Welcome back to Be the Good with Kate, where we talk to people who have done the work to find their passions, follow them, and are making the world a better place along the way. Today, I am so happy to introduce you to Jennifer Ramirez. She is an author, entrepreneur, trauma life coach, Reiki master, and speaker who is passionate about helping women live their best lives after trauma and abuse. She is the founder of the nonprofit organization And Rise, based out of Chicago, whose mission is to empower women to be the ultimate versions of themselves, no matter their adversities. Jennifer has years of experience working with survivors and provides trauma-informed care to those she works with. Now, Jennifer and I have connected because of another prior guest, JJ Kells, who I actually have known since college, episode 52, and it is one of our most played episodes to this day. JJ talks about her OCD and working with that challenge and just really finding her way in life. Great episode. And Jennifer, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And the format would Be the Good with Kate. Always, we have our 5 main questions. We give the listeners some inspiration and we learn more about you. So Jennifer, please, I know I gave you a bit of your bio, but let everyone know a bit more about who you are.
Sure. So as she said, I'm Jennifer Ramirez, and I am a survivor of many abuses, and I have used a lot of my negative experiences from the past to now have a very public platform where I talk about those things in hopes that my experiences can help other women who are experiencing the same thing. So I've been through domestic abuse, sexual abuse, sexual assault, and a lot of emotional and verbal and financial abuse in the past. So I've been through a lot of things, but I'm a much better person now, and I'm just using those experiences to let people know in those situations, like, you can get out, you can do better, you can heal from those experiences, and you can live a normal and healthy life again. And that is, I'm firsthand proof of that, and just really letting people know. And I think people really appreciate me sharing my story, because I get so many people are like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one, or I resonated so much with your story. It was like my own story. And, I felt like I was listening to my life when you were talking about yours. So, I'm really passionate about working with women and just, again, helping them be their best self, whether that's like personally or professionally. And that's why I started And Rise, so that we can create like a really amazing organization that caters to women to help them get there, however it is that we can help you get to that ultimate version of yourself.
And it's so important for people to know they're not alone in whatever the challenge is. And that is something that, with all the negative that's happening in our world right now, I feel like we've really come a long way with at least people really showing, telling, sharing these experiences so that people know, okay, other people have done it and have gone through it. So thank you for being not just that, but then going a whole other level with creating a nonprofit. How did this come about? And also, I'd really love to just ask you, if you don't mind adding to that, how you decided that you wanted to be a platform, because you are in of yourself a platform to create an organization around you.
Yeah, so I actually started And Rise for fun out of my living room. It wasn't even And Rise yet at that point. It was just like, so I'll give you a little bit of background of my story. So I went through childhood sexual abuse when I was 7 from my father, grew up being told, keep it a secret, don't tell anybody, that's a family secret, nobody needs to know about it, which was very detrimental to my emotional and mental health, because I grew up learning that my voice wasn't important, that, there's no such thing as boundaries, that like my body was for anybody who would like it, And so, which was detrimental to me becoming an adult and then getting into relationships and then getting into abusive relationships. And then I became a single mom when I turned 21. As soon as like I told him I was pregnant, he took off. So I was really on my own, living paycheck to paycheck. I was always very independent, so I lived on my own. But I struggled a lot financially because I was raising a child by myself. Like he didn't also give me any type of like child support or anything like that. Um, and I also became like very angry in those years, and I like was very self-destructive. I just didn't care about myself. I really hit rock bottom. I was also like $25,000 in credit card debt because of the lack of child support. So I used to charge things to help like pay for groceries and things like that that I didn't have money for. I fast forward a little bit to when I was 30 years old. I was 100% debt free. I started investing in real estate, which is what kind of started off my entrepreneurial journey. And I really wanted to share like all like, and I also was putting myself through college, a single mom, raising my daughter on my own. So like I was really proud of where I was at that point. So I wanted to just share with other women, like, look, this is where I came from. I had nothing. I come from nothing, and I've been able to build myself up and purchase properties as a single mom, even though statistics tell you that like I'm supposed to be in poverty forever. And my daughter's also supposed to be in poverty, and she's not going to graduate high school, and she's probably never going to go to college. So when you read those statistics, it really messes you up in your head because you start to think, well, maybe I should be in that, realm of what they say I am. But I know for me, it did the opposite. I was like, I am not going to be a statistic. I'm going to show them that that is not true about everybody. So I wanted to share that with women, just everything that I had been through, just to encourage and inspire them. So I started doing these events out of my living room, and then very quickly it turned into what is now And Rise. And honestly, I didn't also start it to work with trauma survivors. I wanted to work with like female entrepreneurs, but trauma kept coming up. And then COVID happened too. So like everybody was struggling with their mental health at that time. So I was like, let me start a COVID like support group, because I needed it too, because I was also struggling. And then it very quickly turned into trauma and abuse and working with survivors. And then I realized like that is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, that I love working with survivors now. And I've learned so much, not just about like being a survivor and like being able to heal, but I also learned a lot about my own healing that I need to work through. And I do a lot of hard things in my healing journey so that I can then help the women that I work with. And, I don't ever tell people to do things that I've never done or tried myself. So like just being able to have different healing modalities. That's why I do Reiki now too, because, everybody heals differently. Some people are great with talk therapy or journaling, but other people need a little bit something different or more in depth. So I'm all, I guess you can call me woo woo, right? Like some people are like, that's a little woo woo. And I'm like, you can call me that. It's okay. I believe in the woo woo. I'm all for it. But yeah, so just really sharing with women what I've been through. And I think that a lot of them are just like very inspired because they're like, oh, okay, like you've been through all these things. So I'm going through this right now too. So like I can get out. I can do better. I won't always feel depressed. I won't always feel sad. Like something good will happen, from this. And I'm like, yes, it absolutely will. If you just keep working through your healing, put yourself first, learn to love yourself. Because I know women really aren't taught, nobody is honestly taught to like love ourselves. We're always taught to love everybody first and you put yourself last. And that's not good for any of us. So like really teaching them that it's okay to love yourself. And it's not selfish to do self-care. It's not selfish to also put yourself first if you need to. And a lot of the times we do need to put ourselves first, but we don't know how to even do that, or we feel a lot of guilt and shame for doing it because society has told us that that's not okay for us to do. But men can do it. Totally fine for a man to do it, but like not a woman. So like just also breaking those stigmas and like, telling people like things like or that are not true that we grew up hearing, like just about all those things of what women should be and what we should look like, how we should act, and all these things, the shoulds, because then when we don't conform to what society tells us we should be, then we feel bad about ourselves or like something's wrong or something's missing. So like there's just a lot that I guess I do to encourage women and like just to be who they are too and be authentically you, and whatever makes you happy. And I don't think we're taught that a lot as a whole, it's together.
It's unbelievable. And just there's so much to delve into here. I could ask you a thousand
Yeah.
questions based off of your path and your journey, but just to hone in on one that came to mind that I'd love to ask you about a little bit more is when you were when you were 21 and your whole world changed in that regard, or before that, or what was, if there was an impetus or the catalyst that made you say, I'm not going to be a statistic? Was it a person? Was it an event? Was it just always in you?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about this last night at support group, and I was like, there have been so many people in my life that told me you can't and you won't, and you're not good enough, and you're not this, and you're not smart enough, and you're not skinny enough, and you're not pretty enough, and all these things. And then it just has been fuel to my fire. When people tell me you can, it's like, oh, I'm going to show you I can. I'm going to show you how good I do it too. I don't know why. I know that a lot of people are opposite. Like sometimes if they hear things, they'll be like, okay, well, I guess I won't, you know. And don't get me wrong, I've done that too. But like a lot of the times, I think especially when I've been older, like maybe once I got to 30, like I was just like, oh no, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you like how good I am. I'm going to show like, and I just said it at group last night too. And I was just like, you're going to wish you were nice. You're going to wish that you were a little bit nicer to me. Like, so yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that also like mistreated me in the past, that was also my motivation for like, I'm going to show you that you're also going to regret that you don't have me in your life as a whatever romantic partner, as a friend, because French, I was in a lot of toxic friendships too, toxic work environments. I didn't realize how much toxicity was around me back then because I didn't recognize it because I was so used to it. I grew up with it. So like when you grew up with that stuff, you don't recognize when it's around you because it's all normal. It's all natural things that you think are normalized, and it's really not until you start to step back and heal and work on things and see those generational cycles and see the cycles within yourself and realizing that those need to change. And it's not easy. It is hard and it's a lot of work, but it's totally worth it because now I'm in this like amazing place now where like I really love myself and I really know my value. And I didn't always feel like that. I didn't always think highly of myself. I always thought I was kind of like scum on the bottom of shoes before, I just, because a lot of the things that I had been told about myself, like you're not a good person, or you're never going to amount to anything, or you're a horrible mother. I used to hear a lot of negative things about myself because I also wasn't always the best version of myself. And I'm also very open about that too. Like, I wasn't always who I am today. Like I was very self-destructive. I was very mean. I was, like I was very reactive before, and I think a lot of people in the early 20s can be reactive, but I like, you made me mad, you're going to know about it. I'm going to curse you out. We're going to fight. We're going to have words. I just didn't know how to like take a step back and like think before I would speak back then. And now I do. So like, yeah. So like I said, I wasn't always the best version, but like I had to be those versions of myself to get to where I'm at today. So that's something else that I tell people. Like a lot of people come to me and they're like, I'm like kind of ashamed of the way I react or the things that I do or the things that I say. And I'm like, but now that you know that that's a problem, now you can work on it. Because if you don't know, you can't fix it. But now that you know that you are maybe reactive, or maybe you should take time to think before you speak or whatever it is, now you know that that's a thing. So now you can work on it, and you can't always fix it right away because being self-aware is not an easy thing, especially when you just become self-aware. You're just realizing these things, and it takes time, and that's okay. So yeah, so I can also go on all day about it too.
Well, it's so, I mean, thank you for bringing that up, the self-awareness. And I like to think of it too, of like putting your ego aside. You have to step forward into that, taking ownership of, okay, maybe I reacted wrong then, but now I've learned, and
Yeah.
fill in the blank for whatever the situation is for each person listening to. We've all had some variation of that. And that's, so thank you for bringing that up. And again, I'm just blown away by how, like you said, you could have become a statistic and you have just thrown it out the window, in every way, shape, or form to have done all you've done already. And you still, I know, have so much ahead of you. What is the most surprising aspect of your life right now, of where you are right now?
That's funny. It's not a funny question, but it kind of is, just because I'm currently going through stuff with my family, like not my immediate family, like my kids and my husband, but like my sisters and mom and things like that, grandma. I've kind of had to cut my family off recently because of newfound boundaries and seeing those familial cycles, and not wanting to be around it any longer. And my family really doesn't understand where I come from yet because of, none of them are in counseling. None of them understand mental health. None of them really understand why I do what I do for a living. I'm very open about my abuse. They don't like that. They don't like me talking about this stuff. So they're not really my biggest fans for it. But I really didn't think that I would ever get to the point where I would have to kind of like go no contact with some of them. So that is a thing that's currently like happening right now. But I also know that it's the right decision. It's not easy. Goes back to like when you have boundaries and you choose yourself first. This is one of the hard parts about boundaries is sticking with it, right? You said if people aren't being respectful of you, then you're gonna have to cut them off, and you have to actually follow through with cutting them off. Like otherwise, there's no point of having a boundary if you have no consequence for it. And I know that my family doesn't quite understand it, but I hope that one day they do. But in the meantime, I know what I'm doing is for myself, me choosing me. And I always say, like, having boundaries is your way of showing yourself love and showing yourself respect because you know that you deserve that love and respect. Even if not everybody else gives that to you, you can give it to you. And that's the most important thing. It brings it back to like self love and how important it is because once you have that, you don't allow other people to treat you less than how you treat yourself. So, like, it's really, really important. And I'm always like, preaching self-love a lot. But again, we're not taught it. So a lot of people are like, how do I even do that? How do you love yourself? There's a lot of different things, that can go into it too.
You're tapping into so many important just life concepts too of that, like self-awareness, boundaries, self-acceptance, self-love, self fill in the blank, the
Yeah.
changing the narrative, changing what's going to go you be moving forward, right? And when that means cutting
Right.
certain people out of your life or situations, so much that's important here. And something that I ask all my guests, please, how would you if someone came to you and said, I want to make a difference, I think I found my passion or I'm still searching for it, but I want to do something like you're doing. Is there any advice you give that person?
Yeah, I always, when people come to me, and because they do, I have this crazy idea, and everybody thinks my family tells me not to do it, or my husband said it's crazy. They say not to, and you know that's what I've been told when I was thinking about starting Ann Rice too. Even when I started purchasing my real estate properties, I had people in my family, are you sure you want to do that? Do you know how to fix a toilet if a toilet breaks? And are you sure you're going to spend all your money on that? Like, what happens if the tenant stops paying rent? What are you going to do? And like all so like that's something that happens in my family. It's like a lot of decisions are made because it's based on fear. So like it's always like, but what are you gonna do if these things go wrong? But what if it doesn't go wrong? What if it's great? That's how I think about it. And I did. I was like, you know what? It's a risk, yes, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. And guess what? Like, yes, when the toilet has broken, guess what? I call a plumber. I am not a plumber, but there are people out there that do it for a living, and that's what you do, and that's it. Problem solved, It's never been like any like huge issues, like with my properties and things like that. So I'm glad I didn't listen to like the naysayers. And same thing when I was going to start And Rise. Oh my God, what are you going to do about healthcare? What are you going to do about money? What if you don't make money? What if it fails? Like all these, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to fail. I hope to God it doesn't. But to me, I'm like, failure is not an option. I got to make this work. I was just so determined that I'm like, I'm never working for another person again in my life. I got to make this work. Failure is not an option. And then COVID happened. So like we had to pivot right away. So anyway, so going back to your question though, I always encourage people, if it sounds crazy, I'm your number one fan, do it because I believe that things are put on our heart for a reason. And we're meant to go for them. And a lot of the times things come in our heart, but we always stop ourselves because we're like, oh, it seems too big, or it's not attainable, or I will never get there, or I don't have the right credentials or the right degrees or with the right whatever support system. And I think that can deter you from getting what you want to do done or pursuing those things that are on your heart. And just go for it. I'm always the one that's like, do it, and then people actually like do take my advice and they'll be like, oh my God, I listened to you and I started my LLC, and oh my God, like it's amazing, I feel so great, I'm so proud of myself. And I'm like, good, you see, like those are risks you're taking on yourself. Yes, you are risking that maybe it fails, but guess what, there's a lot of huge like important people out there that have failed several times before they found the thing that works for them. So like even failures aren't technically a failure, they're our lesson for the next thing. Maybe it just that one thing wasn't meant to be, but don't let it stop you from continuing. Like same thing with Michael
Absolutely.
Jordan. They told Michael Jordan he sucked at basketball and he's still one of the greatest till this day. you know
Absolutely. And what was that, just to ask, what was that first year like of starting an entire nonprofit when you didn't have a background in nonprofits and et cetera?
It was not terrifying because I was very like ambitious. So I was like, I learned a lot in the first year. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of me not being comfortable with putting myself out there yet. I was like kind of like not embarrassed, but kind of like, oh, like imposter syndrome. Everybody's gonna think that I'm not qualified, or they're gonna think whatever they're gonna think. I was so concerned about what people were thinking back then, and now I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I've worked through a lot of that, but like, yeah, it was just a lot of learning and a lot of me learning about business and how it works and entrepreneurship and building relationships and all that stuff that is important, not just for like a nonprofit, but for any business. It's like relationship building, networking, getting yourself out there. I am the face of And Rise, like having to have my picture everywhere and videos of me and doing news interviews and like podcasts. So like just putting myself out there. I wasn't very open for that at first. But now I'm just like, sure, I love it. Like I told you earlier, I love doing podcasts. This is fun, So like just getting out of my comfort zone with a lot of things. I definitely had a lot of mindset things that I had to work through the first year for sure. Had a lot of limiting beliefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. I mean, just for myself, and I can only imagine for anyone listening to this, the brain is just going with that inspiration and that ideas and those reminders of, again, like I said before, all those words like the self-awareness, the self-love, the moving forward, and you just added more here with explaining that first year. Jennifer, why do you find that it is important to share these positive news stories of hope?
Because you just never know who's listening and who needs to hear it. There's been actually several times where I've done podcasts or like whatever, I've done like news interviews, and I'm like, nobody watches this stuff. And then somebody will come to my support group, or somebody will call us, or somebody will email us. I saw you on the news, or I heard you on a podcast, or I saw you here. I saw you like featured here. I need to come. I knew that when I saw you that I had to come. I heard your story, and it just resonated with me, and I couldn't stop thinking about you. So like sometimes you think that people don't look at your posts because they don't like them and things like that, but people are actually watching and knowing, getting that feedback. Like, I saw you on the news, that's why I came to your group, and I'm so happy I came because now I feel better. I found like my community. It just makes it all worth it, and that's why I share, because I'm like, you never know who's out there feeling completely defeated, who feels like this is it, life is just depressing and this is just where I'm going to be. But then when you hear somebody saying like, yeah, I was depressed too, but like, here's how I got out of it, or here's how I healed, and here's how I worked through things, like it just really can just impact somebody so deeply. Like, you just never know. And I truly don't believe in coincidences anymore. I really believe in divine intervention. People hear you and see you and connect with you when the time is right, when they're supposed to. So like, I do believe that, like whoever's even listening to this podcast, like me, you're listening to it for a reason, like you just, I don't know what that reason is right now for you, but I don't know, in a few weeks could know, or a few days could know, like, oh, I really need to hear this because of whatever reason, whatever I'm going through right now. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for saying that, Jennifer, and thank you for being so open with sharing your story. And that's so vulnerable and so much to have to revisit that over and over again. So thank you. And for what you're doing with And Rise, please tell everybody where they can find you and Rise online and find more information.
Sure. So if you'd like to visit our website to learn more about us, it's www.womenrisechicago.org. Or if you'd like to contact us directly, just message us at info, or email us at info@womenrisechicago.org. So we do offer free mental health services for women. So we offer free counseling for women in Illinois. We offer free support groups. We do 7 per week right now. We're working on implementing our 8th one per week. So we work on different topics like emotional abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse. We have another group for Spanish speakers. We have another group for like chronic pain and illness and medical trauma. And then the new group that we're starting is going to be for teen girls ages 14 to 19. Because unfortunately, we've gotten a lot of inquiries about teen girls coming to our groups. I never said no, but like, I just don't think a teen girl identifies with like, adult women on different topics. So that's why we started this other group. And that's really what we're known for, is like our events and our support groups. And we get a lot of ladies that come through and stick with us for a long time until they don't need it anymore. And yeah, they find it to be very helpful to just be in a room of other survivors that understand what they're going through and don't judge them, and just meet them with love and empathy and support. It really and that validation piece. A lot of survivors don't get validated by their abusers or family members and things like that. So coming to a group where people are like, I believe you, right away, it's like, whoa, life changing for some of them, honestly. So, and then we also offer like career development services. So we help with resumes and mock interviewing skills. And then we help, we do financial education workshops so that women can become financially independent. And then we do just a ton of different workshops that teach women about like healthy relationships, healthy coping skills. We do art therapy, sound bath meditations, Reiki healing, all types of different things. So yeah, we're doing some really awesome things. And all of our Truro groups are for women nationwide. We serve women all over the country. So yeah.
That's incredible. Incredible, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being here today.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
In taking classes over the years or observing workout videos, one major piece that is often missing: stressing safety and form. Additionally, group fitness classes are often marketed as being open to all levels, yet how often do instructors not give modifications nor progressions so that each participant truly can get what he or she needs out of the class? So that's why I created the 101 series, which take things back to basics with 3 separate courses: Bar 101, Pilates 101, and HIIT 101, focusing on safety and efficiency so you can maximize your workouts. Be confident when you step into a group fitness class or workout on your own. Be strong in your execution of the most common exercises, and be proud of yourself for taking these huge steps forward on your health journey. Check it out at bebykate.com. The link is in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Chericello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again, and have a great week.